2024-2025. Mr. Speaker, from the onset, I would like to thank Honorable Chair Ndindi Nyoro for his excellent leadership during the entire process where we were looking at the supplementary 2, we were even looking at the division of revenue allocation and also the main estimates, Mr. Speaker, and he offered excellent leadership. Mr. Speaker, I also want to thank the chairs of the departmental committees who put in a lot of time as the departmental committees to comb through what was brought before them by the Treasury and making their final submissions, Mr. Speaker. I sit in the Budget and Appropriations Committee, Mr. Speaker, and one of the rules, the thumb of the rule that we have been applying is that we do not change so much or we do not interfere with what the departmental committees bring before the Budget and Appropriations Committee because they're the ones who have interacted with the departments of various ministries. They're the ones who know why a certain area needs more allocation than another one. And so for us, it was just to look at the basic questions of equity areas and also asking a few questions, but majorly adopting what the departmental committees also brought before us so that we can move together as a house and consider what they have brought before us. Mr. Speaker, it is important to look at some of the things that have been funded in 2024-2025, and one of them is that security docket is one that has received more funds, Mr. Speaker, and I just want to say that it is important for us to, as a country, to ensure that our people are safe and secure so that they can live their normal lives and continue with their day-to-day activities, Mr. Speaker. It is important to note and to bring to the attention of this House that we might be noticing that the North Rift is actually, and Mr. Speaker, kindly, consultations can be in lower tones around me so that I can continue with my contribution.
The Honorable Kaluma, do I get the feeling that you are harassing the MP for Samburu?
They are consulting in high tones, Mr. Speaker. And naturally, he has a loud voice. All right. So thank you, Mr. Speaker. I wanted to bring to the attention of this House that generally the areas of North Rift, apart from Baringo, have experienced some form of calm. But I want to bring to the attention of this House and the country that even though we are not receiving attacks, Mr. Speaker, we have so many people who are displaced from their homes, and therefore we cannot say that we have peace in those areas until people go back to their homes. They can farm. It's actually raining right now. People can actually go back to their normal lives. That is when we can actually say we have peace in the North Rift. And so the funds that have been allocated and increased to the security docket, I hope it will ensure that people are relocated back to their homes and we can actually experience peace in that area. The money for restocking, the 1 billion that has been allocated to the Ministry of Agriculture and Livestock, Mr. Speaker, I do hope that even as we consider people who have been affected by the drought, the people who have been affected by insecurity, Mr. Speaker, should also be considered and be given a priority when the restocking process happens. I do, because I know very many families who lost all their livestock, who actually are living beyond poverty, who have children in school, who cannot pay their school fees, Mr. Speaker. And so I do hope that this 1 billion, and we'll be following up with the Ministry of Livestock to ensure that those who have been affected by security issues will be given a priority when the restocking process will be ongoing. Mr. Speaker, one of the things I have said severally is that Kenyans do not mind to pay taxes, and they are actually paying their taxes, Mr. Speaker. But one thing that Kenyans have been looking at is where their money also goes to. Mr. Speaker, they are looking at which areas are we funding. Are we funding areas that actually rejuvenate our economy, areas that cushion them, especially issues to do with social areas, Mr. Speaker, issues to do with health, that in a country like Kenya, where we are celebrating over 60 years of independence, Mr. Speaker, we should never have issues to do with vaccines, Mr. Speaker. We should not have a mother having a problem to go and deliver in our hospitals, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, on issues to do with education, we should have free universal education in our country. And one of the things that came to our attention, Mr. Speaker, is that most Kenyans are not aware of the new model of funding our university education. And what we even saw in the public domain is that we have so many children who qualify to go to the university who have not applied to join the public universities, Mr. Speaker. We need to interrogate and ask ourselves, what is the issue? Is it that our children and the parents are not aware of the new funding model? Is it that it is more expensive? We need to get those answers as a house, Mr. Speaker. So issues to do with health, issues to do with education, issues to do with money for the elderly, it has been increased. We do hope that the money can be released early so that the vulnerable children also in our communities can receive this money on time. Mr. Speaker, when we were interrogating and in our interaction with Treasury, one of the issues that kept coming up is the issue of exchequer, Mr. Speaker. Yes, we might fund all these issues, Mr. Speaker, and sometimes it's not a matter of saying there is no money. It is just where are our priorities. When money is collected as a country, who do we fund first? We don't have to wait until we see people on the streets demonstrating because their money has not been paid. We don't have to see demonstrations in this house, Mr. Speaker, that NGCDF has been delayed. Up to now, we're going to the end of the financial year, Mr. Speaker, and we have not received all the funds of the financial year ending 2023, 2024, Mr. Speaker. And so it is important that even as revenue is collected, then the exchequer should also be released on time, Mr. Speaker. Issue to do with equalization fund, it has been factored in this budget. In the last budget, we saw, and even arrears, 10 billion was released, Mr. Speaker. One of the two issues that I want to raise with the equalization fund, Mr. Speaker, we know the critical role that it plays in our areas, which for a very long time have been left behind in terms of development. And this money is now implemented by our governors, Mr. Speaker. What I would like to say is that there should be prudent use of these funds by the county governments, ensuring that the projects that are actually funded, the projects that are proposed are life-changing projects, Mr. Speaker. It is not fair to put a road of 5 million, a road of 3 million, or even 8 million through equalization fund, Mr. Speaker. It is important for us to look at cross-cutting issues like big dams, water, big roads, Mr. Speaker, which will actually change the lives of our areas, of the marginalized areas, so that this equalization fund can actually have significant impact in our areas. Mr. Speaker, as I conclude, I have talked severally on the issue of school feeding. It should not be fathomed again as a country that a budget can come with a zero or a negative on issues to do with school feeding, especially for the ASAL areas. We know that there are some children who actually go to school to just eat, and then thereafter, then they actually are educated. And education is an equalizer and is the one that actually will bring these areas to the same level with other parts of the country, Mr. Speaker. And I also want to encourage and to implore to those who are actually thinking of ever moving that money back to the ministry from NACONEC, which is the implementing agency, Mr. Speaker, not to think about it, because NACONEC has been ensuring we get money, we get food in our schools and on time, Mr. Speaker. And so if something is working, then let us make sure that we do not reinvent the wheel. The 2.3 million children who actually benefit from the school feeding program, let NACONEC, let it be their business every morning, every evening to ensure that the food can get to our schools. Let the Ministry of Education deal with other issues, curricula, capitation, and very many other things, university, and very many other issues that they can deal with, Mr. Speaker. And with those very many remarks, I do support.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, allow me also to appreciate the chairperson of the Budget and Appropriations Committee and the committee itself for a job, I would say,